What's up, everyone? Shalom. Doing a just chatting. Anyone who wants to jump on, please do. Otherwise, I am going to just read Rashi on Genesis. Sandy, what's up? Hello. All right, I just posted the link in the various chats. Sandy said was watching Tanya earlier, so much there. I too watched a bit of that Tanya, but I was putting the baby to bed, so I think I fell asleep halfway through. Yeah, definitely Noahide nights. Jump on, clown of Babylon. Join the Noahide Brigade. Jesus was not the Messiah. Changed my mind. $4:30 is a ungodly early hour. You flying somewhere? Early bird gets the worm. Good for you. Cops in the house. What's up, Andrew?
How's it going, Jonathan?
Going well. How are you?
Good. Getting dinner.
Yeah, it looks like I was just thinking it was like a takeout restaurant.
Yep. Guess.
I'm gonna get some kind of Chinese French fusion.
No, Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
Okay. What's your order there?
2 chicken sandwiches and peach milkshake.
Okay. Peach milkshake?
Uh-huh.
Wow, I have not had a peach milkshake there. Sounds good.
Yeah. Their Christmas milkshakes ain't bad, you know.
Christmas milkshake?
Yeah, they're peppermint, I think.
It's not very Noahide. What's the Hanukkah milkshake?
It doesn't exist, unfortunately. You won't get that at Chick-fil-A.
No, you won't. No, they are definitely open on Shabbat, but closed on Sunday,
Yeah.
which has burned me more than once on the road, coming home.
Yeah. If a Hanukkah milkshake ever comes out, just let me know.
What would the flavor of a Hanukkah milkshake be? Oily, right? Kind of oily.
You said it, not me.
Lots of oil. It's an oily milkshake.
First I've heard of it.
So you like wait in line for your order, or were you like waiting to place it?
No, I'm waiting for it to come out.
Are you back in classes, or are you in the summer break still?
So I've got a week of break, and then I've got classes again.
Okay. Is that because you're like an extra summer school student, or is that just the regular rotation?
Summer school, pretty much. So, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
When are you done? What year?
Third.
So like when do you graduate?
2025? Something like
Okay.
that. Yep.
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna get a job?
I guess so. I mean, like, what else?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? How's life?
Life is good. Can't complain. Here comes Sandy.
Hello.
Hey, Andrew.
How's it going?
It's going good. We still good? Long conversation.
Yeah.
How come you weren't studying?
How come I wasn't studying? I've got a week of break. Living the life.
A week of break. That's nice. I'm taking a week of break soon. I'm gonna go up north to northern Michigan, kind of like Canada.
Almost.
Almost. Yeah, not quite that far.
Grand Rapids, Holy Land of CRC.
Yeah, that's right. I gotta get out of here.
I thought you were going further north than that.
No. Well, I live in Grand Rapids, but
Really?
okay.
Okay.
But I'm going north of Grand Rapids
Yeah.
into up towards the Leelanau Peninsula. So like basically where the Lower Peninsula, South Michigan and North Michigan meet.
So you're kind of going halfway.
Yeah, I mean it's like 10 degrees cooler. It's a different vibe up there.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should be nice.
I was up in Timmins last week. So what is that? 4 hours north of Sudbury, which is on par with the Sioux. So, yeah, about 4 hours north of Michigan. So,
Yeah.
gorgeous weather up there.
Sandy, have you been to Toronto?
I was born in Toronto.
Okay, so you know it well.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, okay. Yeah, I want to visit Toronto again. I haven't been to Toronto in like 20 years. I went there for like a day, but I hear it's like kind of like New York.
Could be, yeah.
I like New York.
I've never been to New York.
New York, it's a cool city. It's very, very dense. Smells like weed and garbage. But it's a fun town. Very different than Chicago, where I lived.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So you've been in Chicago and Grand Rapids
and Austin.
and Austin. Oh, wow. So you've been
Hmm.
further south.
Yep, yep.
It'll be a lot hotter.
It's definitely hotter.
I couldn't do it. I'd fry.
You get used to it.
Yeah.
You don't fry as much as you roast.
I would definitely roast. I
It's-
noticed it coming back to where I am from Timmins. That 10-hour shift from completely different environment.
yeah.
So hot here.
Um, where is Timmins in Canada?
If you go sort of straight up between the straight up from the falls and skim the right side of the is it Superior,
Yeah.
and you just keep going up till you're like 4 hours north of the top edge of Superior. It's
Okay.
up.
Wow.
Yeah. Went an hour north of there with my son. We went to the polar bear habitat. They've got a place where there's people that have three different bears that they look after, and they talk about the importance of habitats for animals and how the habitats are changing and stuff like that. So it was cool. Got to yeah, it was a nice spot. Also home of Tim Hortons, a la hockey fame and more ongoing fame of Tim Hortons coffee.
Coffee. Yes. Right. Right. It's the Dunkin' Donuts of Canada. Yeah.
Yep. So yes.
Tim Hortons. Um, but Timmins is not home for you, right?
No. Home. Yeah, where's home? Cochrane was almost home. So I'm one of those weird people that prays for things and was supposed to move to Cochrane this year with my partner that died 2 years ago. And I started praying, how much I was going to miss my son. I loved going walking with that son, and it was too bad he didn't, have something to do in the north. Why, wouldn't it be interesting if he would like the north? And the next thing I know, he is at loose ends. His best friend since kindergarten got a job in Timmins, and said to him, "Well, if you don't have anything, if you haven't made extra plans yet," he says, I rented a 2-bedroom if you want to come up and stay here till you figure yourself out." So it's a year later and he's still up there and I'm down here.
You're down here and where?
West of Toronto, small town called Fergus.
Okay. So you're west of Toronto, so you're closer to Michigan.
Oh, no.
Well,
I'm
than Toronto.
much closer to Toronto than I am to Michigan.
Yeah, but you're like on the Michigan side of Toronto.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
I'm in the greater GTA or greater Toronto area that's taking over the entire province if the premier has his way.
Is the premier like the mayor or like the governor of the province? What's the premier mean?
Yeah, so like we have the prime minister who looks after all 10, and then each province has its own premier.
Okay, that's like a state governor.
Like a state governor, yep.
Here in the U.S., yeah.
Yeah. Only, he's, I don't know. Apparently, Ontario, I'm learning, is one of the worst places to live. Yeah.
Why? Why the worst?
We always, some of the other provinces are watching sort of how some stuff pan out here so they can make better decisions. Like our in the 2 years of COVID, our what do you call it? Not the budget. The difference between what you earn and what you need to earn has like vastly shifted. To see, it's not quite 10 years. Say 8 years ago, when I was divorcing, we sold our house. It would
Mm-hmm.
be about between 300,000 and 400,000, and it would be like $1 million now.
Yeah.
And
Right. Right.
I mean, that's ridiculously the discrepancy between the two is crazy. Everybody's really struggling because and it doesn't really seem to matter because they're still building more houses that are going to cost $1 million.
Right.
So
Right.
somebody's going to buy them, and I think they're importing people to buy them. So
Importing them from where?
wherever, other places in the world.
Yeah.
Um,
I heard that Canada just like has this program where they're like taking on H-1B visa people and like encouraging them to come into the country and work and like live there,
there's
which is kind of a good. I mean, in some ways, I think that's a good move. Like,
there's a combination of positive and negative things. I don't know enough about it, but I have a friend who used to work somewhere that had a lot of seasonal workers, and she kind of felt sometimes they were getting scammed.
yeah.
So yeah,
Well, these aren't seasonal people that I'm thinking of. They're like
they're
tech
the
people. Tech people.
tech. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's probably always a big demand for tech and factory work, and yeah, and doctors if they're starting to think of changing some of their rules around how hard they make it to take a degree from a different country where you've already been working in a field and make you, because they used to almost make you do the whole thing over again here. And so I think they're starting to look into some of those things. But
So, Sandy, did you go to DC for the conference or
no,
last thing you were at was California? Did you go
yeah,
to Chico? Yeah.
yeah. I still work full time, and
Yeah.
I get 2 weeks vacation a year. And I spent better part of a month's income on going to Chino. So,
Yeah. Well, tell me about. I forgot to. I wanted to ask you. Like, have you still been going to the local Catholic parish?
I have to. I'm gonna try and. Oh, I gotta check whether I can go tomorrow or if I'm working early. If I don't make it out tomorrow, I have to make it out whenever's the next day that I can, because he was away for 2 weeks at some.
Yeah.
And basically said there was no midweek ones, and those are when I could actually make it to their daily mass.
So there was no mass when he was out.
I didn't get the impression there was going to be mass during the week. No, I think they had somebody coming to look after their Sunday mass. But yeah, I
Gotcha.
think either that or they had listed some of the congregants doing something else, but I don't know enough about it to understand what they said, just that he was not going to be there and there wasn't going to be any actual mass. So, but yeah, looks like I've got a lot of day shifts, so that complicates.
And you work in retail?
I do, yeah. So that's anywhere from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So it varies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But you have background in Reformed churches, yeah? CRC in particular?
I spent about 25 to 30 years there, 2 different places.
Okay.
Where we used to live when we first got married and the kids were little, and then when my oldest was going into the deaf school, it's either residential or you live close enough to send them as a day student. So we moved. So the second church was where we spent the most time when we moved closer to the deaf school, which is kind of an hour south of here.
Did you find Jacob through Paul Vanderklay?
Yes.
Did you find Paul Vanderklay through Jordan Peterson?
No.
No. Okay. You
I
were like
found-
originally just straight Paul Vanderklay, or
No.
not even? No. No. Tell me. Like how? What was your origin story?
I had quit going to church after the divorce for a while. I wasn't sure if I was going to go back. And then Jack died 2021, and my mom and his memorial came up May of 2022. And while I was still frazzled, for some reason, I got one of the synod emails from their annual meeting for June, and thought, oh, that's weird. Why did I get that? But it was the first post-COVID one where they were actually meeting in person, right? So they were. I watched that, and this year were the two that Jacob's talked quite a bit about with Paul Vanderklay's talked quite a bit about, just because the church is kind of self-destructing in a way, or I hope they're actually reassessing themselves as well. But it's hard to say at this point. Some people are just, yeah. I've never been to a church that kind of imploded before. So hence Jacob has said to me, head to the Catholic Church. You can walk there, because I can. It's right across from my work, and the church are all within 5 minutes of here. So
Now it's quite a jump from Reformed churches to Catholic churches, I'll tell you. But I don't.
I was Anglican for a while when I was young, so it doesn't feel completely unfamiliar, but it doesn't feel familiar either.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's somewhere to go and be, and it's probably a good thing.
What's the architecture like at that church?
It kind of is halfway between, like your typical CRC or evangelical one, where they've kind of got a little bit of a church in the round, where you've got several sections of pews all facing down to the front. And a lot of windows that, like with the trying to think if they're the painted on or the old style church where they're all done in the glass. But anyway, they've got all the images and things in the window. So kind of interesting to stare at those. CRC churches do not do that.
There's a CRC church here in Grand Rapids that has stained glass windows.
Really interesting.
Yeah. But actually, the one I grew up in an RCA church that had some stained glass windows.
Okay.
That had, I mean, they didn't have the saints necessarily, but they had like biblical stories.
Yeah.
I think like in the front of the church there was a stained glass with Jesus. I think like I stand at the door and knock, so like he wasn't like he was just standing there.
Yeah.
So I mean, that I guess that was stained glass, though. It wasn't an icon, wasn't a statue. So it was kind of a little bit of imagery, I suppose. But
I like old churches and things for history, because I've always enjoyed going to museums and to anywhere that's sort of tells where people have come from and where they're going, kind of thing. So yeah, I don't mind it. I went to an RCA church in Michigan a couple of times with some friends. Where was it? Straight through from Detroit and a bit southwest. I forget which area, but yeah.
There's a movie called First Reformed, I think it's called, that came out a couple of years ago or so, maybe even like a year ago, with Ethan Hawke. Plays a pastor of like the oldest like Reformed church in the United States, like up in New England.
Yeah.
And it was made by Paul Schrader, the filmmaker that came out of Kelvin College, made Taxi Driver, kind of a film noir guy. Anyway, it's an interesting movie. Like, not I don't know. It's nothing like super relevant, but Interesting nonetheless. What's up, Trey?
What up? I don't know if my mic is bad.
Your mic is good.
Okay.
Yeah. How's driving life? Are you in a truck? Do you have a truck?
Yeah, I'm in a truck.
Yeah. I can tell by that like cab window behind you.
Yeah.
It's real.
1998 to go to Tacoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's going on with you? Dinner time? You going to Chick-fil-A?
I'm going to church. So,
Church on Thursday? Yeah. Church on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. Kind of weird church group do you belong to?
The weirdest of the weirdest.
I'm just kidding. I know what you belong to.
Yeah.
Is that a typical thing to have JW Thursday night service? It's like Wednesday was like kind of oversubscribed, so they had to like kind of be hipsters.
Wednesday was oversubscribed. I never heard of that. Basically, how it works is that there's always a midweek meeting.
Yeah. I mean, like Wednesday night prayer services, Wednesday night stuff is very, it's very like, maybe I shouldn't say it's very Protestant, but it was definitely like very Reformed, very CRC, very RCA. Really? Yeah, I mean.
Oh my gosh, here they always took Tuesdays and Thursdays, which the school boards always wanted to. So there was a massive fight over your time.
Maybe that's just me. I thought Wednesday was like kind of the day, right in the middle of the week.
Yeah, everybody hates that day. That's why only the Spanish congregation gets it, because they're always the lowest on the totem pole.
Okay.
But so how it works is basically like usually if you have one church, you have set times, right? But because it's like a global organization, for each church, there's multiple congregations. So we have about 4 different congregations, which is a lot. So that means that there's service Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday for different congregations. For Bay, technically my congregation is Thursday and Saturday.
Got it.
Yeah. But everyone hates Monday. Some people like Tuesday.
Well, Monday is like too close. Like you just did church all day yesterday, and like you can't just come back on Monday. That's preposterous. I think Wednesday is like the earliest day. That makes sense. Thursday, okay. So Garth says, I knew some Lutheran churches that would have Saturday evening services. So like that's pretty standard Catholic, and I think Orthodox too. Orthodox has Vespers on Saturdays. Catholic churches will do what they'll call vigil masses on Saturday evening, which is like technically the Sunday mass. So like you'll fulfill your obligation to go to church if you go on Saturday evening. Definitely took advantage of that as a young buck. So I'd have to get up on Sunday morning. So
I don't know if you guys do this, but every year, all the witness halls switch times. So if you have a Sunday at 12:30, you'll move to a 3:30.
A what?
Then if you're at a 3:30, you'll move into a 9:30.
Okay, that's unique. It's not daylight savings time or anything, right? It's just
switch
it up.
The reason it didn't make sense is basically you'll visit other kingdom halls, but that never happens. Like, why would you do that? Like, you're not gonna, if you've been in your church for like 10 years, you're not gonna switch a different church every year. That doesn't even make any sense. So I don't know.
Have you heard that? Oh, who's that? I'm blanking on the name of the artist. Has a song called Kingdom Hall. Oh, why am I blanking on this guy? Let me look it up.
What, Van Morrison?
Yes, Van Morrison. Thank you. Gosh, it just totally was. I'm having a senior moment really early in my life.
Computer, I just looked it up.
Yeah. Kingdom Hall by Van Morrison. That whole album is great, and it's a great song. Kingdom Hall. I'm not sure if that's the name of the song. Is it the name of the song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You should
think.
check it out. Van Morrison Kingdom Hall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, besides Prince, probably the best musical tribute / association with the J Dubs.
Huh. Yeah.
You can't
There's
do
like
that.
some crazy. The head of Megadeth, he was a witness. I mean, I think Biggie is sort of the best. I gotta say,
He's the
personally.
biggest. Definitely
He's
the biggest.
The biggest. And
The biggest
then,
J Dub.
then Childish Gambino. He's like second biggest.
So Dave Mustaine was a J Dub?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did not know that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you got to do the same thing. Like, if you're a Lutheran, you know all the famous Lutherans, that's ex-Lutherans, you know?
So yeah, I mean, like, who are the famous Lutheran converts from pop culture, though? Like, kind of feels like crickets.
I do not know.
I mean, no offense to the Lutherans, but like, where are they?
Well, I'm just giving you as an example. You know what I mean? Like,
you picked a bad one though, because like it's just there's nothing.
well, are you a Lutheran? I forget.
No, I'm not a Lutheran. I'm Lutheran adjacent. I was.
Okay. Are you a Noahide?
You can call it that, sure. I'm not sure I'm super comfortable with that term, but okay. I'm a Goyish Jew.
Okay. Do you go to church?
No. I mean, I say that like that, but like not presently. It's actually kind of funny. The local Catholic church is St. Stephen's, right? And St. Stephen was martyred by a bunch of Jews, and there's a picture, like a painting in the front of the church, like the altar piece thing above the altar in the church, has a bunch of people looking like the Rambam throwing stones at St. Stephen, and I was like, I don't know if I can get down with going there. Garth says the Lutherans are all in the Midwest. Celebs rarely come from the Midwest. You know, Katy Perry came from the Midwest. I think she's a Satanist.
I don't know what to say. You know what? That's I'm not gonna get on a rant, but that's my sometimes beef with Noahides. It's like I have so many disagreements. Yeah, I'm still going to a non-denominational. Just go to a non-denominational church. Just live with it. You know.
Well, I mean, so if I'm so here's the thing though. If I'm a Noahide, right? Which means like I believe in Judaism. Why would I go to a church?
Why do you like? How about this? This is very loud. Why do you not? You know, when your mother asks, or your girlfriend asks, does this dress make my butt look fat? You say no, right?
Yeah.
Because you can get away with disagreements, and it's like, okay, you can wait another 100 years until you hopefully get a Noahide church, and then only have you and your buddy going there, or you can just be like, I'm just gonna go to a non-denominational and just live with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you, but there's probably not going to be a Noahide church. It's not going to work that way.
Noahide place of worship, fine.
Well, even that's kind of tricky. It's a tricky situation, Trey. But I mean, in theory, right? Like, I could go. I could. I'm not even going to say should, but could go to a monarchical Trinitarian church, which would be like an Orthodox church. But to deal with that is like, I'm not, I mean, like, how do I say this? Like, to go to a place of worship where they worship a Jew, that's just not my religion. So I'm not going to do that.
All I gotta say is it sounds like atheism with extra steps. That's all.
Atheism?
It doesn't have anything to do with atheism.
What's atheistic about that?
When you worship God, that's like an oxymoron.
Just think like Judaism without. Judaism without like a lot of the commandments. Yeah, there's
Right.
it's
Right.
just it's different.
Like, did you ever hear what's the guy's Tom Holland's point that there was the Christians stopped the pagans, then the Protestants stopped the Catholics, and then the atheists became the ultimate Protestants?
Yeah, I don't think the Protestants stopped the Catholics though.
Or you know what I mean? I know what I mean.
I mean, I think I know what you mean, but I think
yeah,
that
but you're on the farthest end of that, right?
no, because I'm very far away from atheism. Okay, so think of Orthodox Judaism. Do you think of that as atheism? Are they atheists?
No, because they don't act like atheists.
No, right. But why don't they act like atheists?
Because they have the little curly hair.
Okay, so so they wear kippas and have peyote, and so that makes them not atheists, right? Like because they're doing silly stuff for God. Is that what you're saying?
You know what I mean. You can be super.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think I know what you mean, but I think I'm trying to really suss out what you mean, because the jump is now, okay, they're theists, but Noahides are atheists because they don't go to church.
Okay. Well, I guess it would be a works debate, but do you think somebody who is do you think somebody goes to church is closer to at least being more religious than someone who's not?
Like on average,
Not
yes.
necessarily.
Not necessarily.
But no, but I would say like on average, for sure. On average, for sure. In this little corner, we know enough to know that like there are plenty of people who go to church who are probably effectively atheists.
Right. But again, what does Jordan Peterson say? It's not what you believe, it's what you act out.
Okay, sure. That's fair.
And all I'm saying is it's like, okay.
So I just want to make this clear. Like,
yes,
I think that Noahides are different than like ortho bros who don't go to church.
Oh, I think that those are worse. I 100%.
Or just like just on like very online people who just refuse to participate in a community for whatever reason. I think that's a problem. But the problem for Noahides is that they don't. I mean, for a lot of them, they don't have a. There's no option for a religious community for them to be a part of, because they don't live in close enough proximity to Jewish communities.
What about like Hebrew roots?
Well, what about them? Like, there's not Hebrew roots in my area. Okay, that's yeah.
Okay, I agree with you. But here's the thing, like it's like, okay, you could be a Unitarian, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yes.
And then just like not be able to find a wife, not be able to find like other religious friends or anything like that, and just suffer, and you won't. And I just think that if, well, you wouldn't take that part, but I think one of my favorite scriptures is Hebrews 10:25, because it's the most truest. And all I'm saying is, like, the people around you influence you to do better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying, like, what if you just sucked it up a little bit? Hey, but also I should say, I'm not trying to roast you. I'm the most, like, look, I'm going to a witness hall and I don't believe anything of that mess. But I'm also going to a non-denominational church. So, you know.
Wait, what non-denominational church are you going to?
It's called Vintage.
But it's not a J-Dub church, right? It's just a different church?
That's a different church.
Right. But you know that all non-denominational churches are still part of the non-denominational denomination, right? Like,
yeah.
All non-denom churches, well, not all, but like a lot of them have a lot in common theologically that makes them effectively a denomination.
Yeah.
They're typically evangelical, right?
Some of them will. There's different organizations where if you're a like my brother-in-law is in a non-denominational church, and he's a pastor, and you can form affiliation with other non-denominational churches, and there's several of them out there. And I forget what it's called, but they're affiliated with something that is. It is Canadian, and they meet generally out west in Alberta somewhere for their annual whatever. But it doesn't mean they're all sort of, it's not the same as being all Protestant, like all Presbyterians or all Anglicans or all Catholics or whatever. They just kind of have formed an affiliation of accountability kind of thing to each other. So a lot of places, well, hopefully a lot of places at least do something like that.
Look,
so Trey, like, how did you settle upon this Notre Dame church?
my landlord told me about it.
Okay, pretty random.
Yeah,
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that. And then, but then you're going to hang out with your Jiddo homies on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
Are you stopped in traffic, or what are you doing right now? Like, there's no movement behind you.
Smart man. Stopped at my apartment. Hey, I need to take a shower. I'll be back in a second. Okay.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah.
Longer than a second.
God needs to take a shower before he hangs out with his J-Dub friends. I get it.
That's nice. So you were going to read something. Is that something that is particularly of interest to you because of your current faith walk, or?
Oh, I mean,
Or was it
so you've heard of Rashi, right? Around here?
My memory doesn't put things in boxes very quickly yet, but yes.
So if I think if I'm remembering correctly, like Rashi is like the commentary on the Bible in Jewish circles.
Quoted in Sefaria frequently.
Yeah, for sure. So there are Rashi commentaries on the entire Tanakh, the entire Hebrew Bible, and for me, it's something I've never read before, and so I wanted to go through. Like, I've read the Bible over the course of my life, in bits and pieces. Like, I'm not like a super duper fluent, but I thought it would be interesting to go through Rashi from the beginning of Genesis and just read the commentaries, because it is the like authoritative Jewish perspective, or like one authoritative Jewish commentary that actually decorates, I think, a part of the Talmud, right? So if you look at the pages of the Talmud, did you see Yosef's image he posted in the Discord of like kind of like the layout of a Talmud page and like all the aspects that go into it? Like, Rashi is like a dedicated section around the Mishnah and Gemara. So Garth asked, is Rashi the same as the Midrash? No, it's commentary on the Midrash, I believe. So yeah, so I was like, if nobody came on the stream, I was like, if this is going to be recorded, for posterity,
you want to read part of it?
Sure. Let's do.
I wouldn't mind having a look at some. How's your Hebrew? Are you?
Oh, terrible. I know I've picked up some Hebrew words just by virtue of listening to, Jewish, like various lectures, and so no, I can't read it. That's probably one of the things I should focus on, is studying some biblical Hebrew so I can do some translation. I'm
just trying to get comfortable with the flow of sounds, which is why I was taking the Yiddish.
So Garth, Talmud, I believe, is Midrash and Gemara combined. So it's like just the oral Torah. So I think now I wrote it down somewhere, but I have to like go look at my notes. But it's kind of like taxonomy of Talmud, Midrash, Gemara. Okay, so we actually have
an expert.
Fancy. Rashi will quote Midrash and connect it to particular verses discussed. Yeah. So,
Okay.
we could do a little bit. It's interesting because the beginning of like Genesis, right, is like very long commentary by Rashi, and like I won't say like thins out over the rest of the scriptures, but like it kind of thins out over the rest of the scriptures. So like there's a lot at the beginning. It's very front loaded, but that's because, you know, it's pretty mysterious in the beginning. So yeah, we can pull it up.
Mysterious sounds good to me. I only really read it through Reformed eyes, not mine, somebody else's.
Yeah, so Rashi and Genesis. So I'm gonna butcher everything and just go straight to the English here. But
Miller, expand to a tiny bit bigger.
Yeah, let me see what I can do here.
If not, I'll pull it up somewhere else.
No, I can do it. How's that? Better?
That's better.
That should be good, right? Okay. So let me pull up okay, so in the beginning, Rabbi Isaac said the Torah, which is the law book of Israel, should have commenced with the verse from Exodus, "This month shall be unto you the first of the months, which is the first commandment given to Israel." What is the reason then that it commences with the account of creation? Because of the thought expressed in the text from Psalms 111:6, he declared to his people the strength of his works, i.e., he gave an account of the work of creation in order that he might give them the heritage of the nations. For should the people of the world say to Israel, "You are robbers because you took by force the lands of the 7 nations of Canaan," Israel may reply to them, "All the earth belongs to the Holy One, blessed be he. He created it, and he gave it to whom he pleased. When he willed, he gave it to them, and when he willed, he took it from them and gave it to us." So, like, basically, you know, just that like question of like, why does Genesis begin with creation and not with the Exodus? Like, you know, the revelation of God at Sinai, right? So then it goes on, in the beginning, God created. This verse calls aloud for explanation in the manner that our rabbis explained it. God created the world for the sake of the Torah, which is called the beginning of his way, and for the sake of Israel, who are called the beginning of his increase. If, however, you wish to explain it in its plain sense, explain it thus. At the beginning of the creation of heaven and earth, when the earth was without form and void, and there was darkness, God said, "Let there be light." The text does not intend to point out the order of the acts of creation, to state that these, heaven and earth, were created first. For if it intended to point this out, it should have written Hebrew, which I can't translate. At first, God created, etc. And for this reason, because wherever the word occurs in Scripture, it is in the construct state, e.g., Jeremiah 26:1, in the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the beginning of his kingdom, the first fruit of thy corn. Similarly, here you must translate as though it read, and see there's like Hebrew in here, so I can't even get into that. At the beginning of God's creating. A similar grammatical construction of a noun and construct followed by a verb is in Hosea, which is as much to say, at the beginning of God speaking through Hosea, the Lord said to Hosea. Should you, however, insist that it actually does intend to point out that these, heaven and earth, were created first, and that the meaning is at the beginning of everything, he created these, admitting therefore that the word is in the construct state and explain. Oh, is that Bereshit? Is in the construct state and explaining the omission of the word signifying everything by saying that you have texts which are elliptical, omitting a word, as for example, because it is not shut up, it is not up the door, because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, where it does not explicitly explain who it was that closed the womb. And in Isaiah, he shall take away the spoil of Samaria without explaining who shall take it away. And Amos, doth the plow with oxen, does he plow with oxen? And it does not explicitly state, doth a man plow with oxen? Declaring from the beginning the end, and it does not explicitly state, declaring from the beginning of a thing the end of the thing. If it is so that you assert that this verse intends to point out that heaven and earth were created first, you should be astonished at yourself, because as a matter of fact, the waters were created before heaven and earth. For lo, it is written, the Spirit of God was hovering on the face of the waters, and Scripture had not yet disclosed when the creation of the waters took place. Consequently, you must learn from this that the creation of the waters preceded that of the earth. And a further proof that the heavens and earth were not the first thing created is that the heavens were created from fire and water, from which it follows that fire and water were in existence before the heavens. Therefore, you must admit that the text teaches nothing about the earlier or later sequence of the acts of creation.
Do you understand what that's getting at?
I would probably have to read it again to, like, without like reading it aloud performatively, to like read it again, like kind of like reflect on it. But I think the gist of it is that, well,
I was just curious because he brings in a ton of references to other places, which makes me think that he's writing this to people he assumes will already know the references. But he's just talking.
Well, okay, so like at the beginning, he talks about the text does not intend to point out the order of the acts of creation.
Yeah. Like, Jacob talked about that one place.
Yeah, and like, because for if it is intended to point this out, it should have written X, Y, Z, blah 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 blah, right? Like he goes through all these different examples. It gets hard to parse if you're not, I think, conversant with the verses or the Hebrew phrases. But basically, like, the Spirit of God was hovering on the face of the waters, and Scripture had not yet disclosed when the creation of waters took place. So I think, like, the interesting thing about it is that there was kind of something there, right? Like, because in the first sentences, it was like I think in English, it's like the Spirit of God like hovered above the void or the waters of the deep or something like that, like in the English translations. So like there was something before let there be light.
And one of the things that I've picked up listening the last few months is that it's kind of like it jumps in the middle of the sequence. He just starts talking in the middle of what's going on.
Yep.
And it's hugely different than what you get in Christianity, where, like, my ex used to be, every single thing is like a literal everything, and and now I'm hearing from the Jewish context, well, no, it's not all necessarily completely literal. It's story. It's to tell you about, but it's not pretend either. It's actual.
Right. It's not story in the sense that it's like all made up from some kind of a story as we colloquially think of a story in our modern North American English or whatever, where we're like, oh, a story, like you told a story, like it bears some resemblance to the truth, like it's true, but it's not literal, right? And so but it's kind of literal. It's like it's real, but it's not exactly literal. So I guess, like, I think Jacob talks a lot about, like, the water is not literal H2O.
No, he doesn't like that term. And it reminds me of when I was a little kid and I read the King James. I think it used to say the Spirit hovered over the surface of the deep.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Yeah.
it doesn't define what the deep is, just that it is the deep.
Yeah. Right. And I don't know what that means. And I'm not sure that anyone really knows what that means. Well, maybe they do, but it's beyond me, right? So my my purpose for reading Rashi on Tanakh is I mean, my first reading is going to be super superficial, right? And it's like I'm going to struggle with a lot of it. I'm going to like kind of glaze over a lot of it and think like, okay, I'm not really sure I'm following this here, but I'm going to try to like see what I can absorb and like see what I can follow, see what makes sense. And I think I was listening to some lecture recently from a rabbi that like I think said that like you need to do it like you need to read it 4 times to get it, and you need to read it 101 times to like know it forever, right? And so and even then like I can't just read this without guidance.
I think if you learn to pronounce even a couple of the shorter words, you'd enjoy it more. I love actually watching some of the sounds go past when I see the letters.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't fill in the gaps with the, you know, like I can say mime by the water.
So you know a little bit of Hebrew then, huh? You've been studying this?
Just the last couple of months.
Okay.
Since joining, like hanging out here.
Well, good for you.
No, actually, no, that's not true. I started like with the Yiddish, just with the letters and the sounds. I started it maybe like in the last year or two, just trying to learn the sounds, but I got more serious about it, trying to actually practice. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a conversation from a little while ago where Trey was actually he was arguing that like at least to me it sounded like he was arguing that translations, right? Like why do they have to be inferior, right? Like they're if you like in some ways and I'm sympathetic to the argument, right? Where it's like, okay, here's the Hebrew, and it's like, can you translate the Hebrew into English, right? And like, granted, there are points at which it might not be easy to translate, or there might be kind of a variance. But I'm not exactly sure what happens when I learn Hebrew. Why suddenly I would have more insight, or why it would make it any better for me when I mean
I've wanted to learn Hebrew for 20 years, and my pastor always said, "Oh, don't do that.
yeah
You don't need to do that." I think it's just something I tried to learn French in school. I know just a bare minimum of that. I know some ASL, and knowing a language that's knowing any other language where you can approach something, I think it fills in gaps. It draws connections and interweaves things. That's why I enjoy it. Doesn't mean you have to, but I just kind of like it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, so in some ways, I think like, okay, like learn some Hebrew, read the text, stumble through, work on it in Hebrew. On the other hand, is there like a good ArtScroll English translation I can use to like be a shortcut in the meantime, right? And so,
if you have English and you can read English, it's better to read English than not read it at all.
Yeah, I think that's right. Better some English than nothing.
And I'm sorry, I'm kind of interrupted your reading.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I think probably starting out with Genesis is going to be a little rougher because it's much more. There's more of it. It's much more dense. So it might just kind of be not worth it right now.
Why?
Well, I mean, I've never read it before, and so it's one of these things where, like, if I'm reading it aloud, I'm not taking in as much versus just like reading it on my own first, and then going through it. Also, I'm a little spooked by Rabbi Malot, who came on and said that some of Safaria's translations are just like straight up wrong, or just super bad. So, I mean, there's a little bit of that. I mean, I'm imagining that the Rashi translations are like not terrible, but
I try sitting in on Rabbi Malot's Sunday evenings when I can. He does. He just finished the Song of Songs. Is it? Oh. Nope, I've lost it already. What is it called? Song of Songs. Darn it. I want to say Shem Hasharet. No, I gotta look it up.
Oh, in Hebrew, what's it called?
Yeah. Oh, that looks. I gotta look it up in phonetics, but looks like Sher Hashem.
Is Shira song in Hebrew?
So it's got the original Hebrew has so much more. Even I didn't realize it. Nice part of how you can connect words, particular roots. Other words, that's a point. Looking up roots of words, I've always, like, even when I'm just doing stuff in English, I've always enjoyed looking up, like where did the word come from? What is the root? What does it mean? Why have they chosen this word over that word? It's fun. Shem HaSharem, I think. Oh, why am I not? Okay. Well, anyways, that's what it looks like in my poor Hebrew. Shir HaShirem. Shir HaShirem. Yeah, something like that.
Hey, what's up, Matt? Thanks for popping by. Yeah, Ben is talking about the Hebrew original has so much more. I didn't even realize it. Part of it is how you can connect words with particular roots to other words. Yeah, like it like knowing another language, you can kind of start piecing things together. I mean, I studied Latin, so I have a pretty good sense of like how English is derived from a lot of other languages. The Romantic languages, the Germanic, and so there's. You learn a lot of things there, and but Hebrew is very different for me. Yeah, so the Pirkei Avot sessions with Chazi are super good though, Ben. So definitely keep doing those. It's very edifying.
So, are you gonna read some more, or?
Yeah, sure. Let's do. I think it gets easier as we go, maybe. So let's pull it up and go through the next bit. All right. So God as judge created. It does not state the Lord, the merciful one, created because at first God intended to create it, the world, to be placed under the attribute rule of strict justice, but he realized that the world could not thus endure and therefore gave precedence to divine mercy, allying it with divine justice. It is to this that what is written in Genesis 2:4 alludes, in the day that the Lord God made heaven and made earth and heaven. Desolate and void. So we're now at Genesis 1:2. Comes Andrew again.
Oh.
How was that Chick-fil-A?
Pretty good. Can't go wrong with it.
No, you cannot. Welcome to our Rashi reading.
Whoa.
Accept those cookies. Okay, so now we're at Genesis 1:2. Desolate and void. The word, I would imagine void signifies astonishment and amazement, for a person would have been astonished and amazed at its emptiness.
Hey, don't eat that.
I guess that word is estorson in Old French. I think Rashi was French. Void. The word signifies emptiness and empty space on the face of the deep, i.e., the waters which were upon the earth. And the Spirit of God was hovering. The throne of divine glory was standing in space, hovering over the face of the waters by the breath of the mouth of the Holy One, blessed be He, and by His command, even as a dove hovers over its nest. In Old French, Acovetea. Pardon my French.
Sorry.
How does a dove hover over its nest?
You know, it just kind of flutters.
It just stays up there, or what?
Yeah, it just hovers.
Really?
I don't know. I've never seen it, but I can imagine it. Can't you?
Why doesn't it live in its nest, man?
Well, I'm sure it gets there eventually, but it hovers at some point.
Yeah.
When he's building one. Yeah. Yeah, if it's building one, it would be hovering with the pieces of stuff it's weaving.
And God saw the light that it was good, and God caused a vision. Here also we must depend upon the statement of the Agada. He saw that the wicked were unworthy of using it, the light. He therefore set it apart, reserving it for the righteous in the world to come. But according to the plain sense, explain it thus. He saw that it was good, and that it was not seemly that light and darkness should function together in a confused manner. He therefore limited this one sphere of activity to the daytime, and this one sphere of activity to the nighttime. So that's kind of interesting because it speaks to the ideas that evil comes out at night, God's judgment happens at night, right? Like the difference between night and day have more than just light and darkness, right? They have other properties of spiritual reality. That's I mean, I don't know what else to say about that other than that's what it makes me think of.
That's an interesting statement, actually, because he said, here also we depend upon the statement of the Agadah. He saw that the wicked were unworthy of using the light, and therefore set it apart, reserving it for the righteous in the world to come.
I don't know, man. I think plenty of criminals use flashlights.
Plenty of what?
Criminals.
Plenty of criminals use flashlights, you know.
Yeah, but like they need to use that artificial light. They steal the light to do the nefarious deeds, dude. Right? Like they can't do it by the natural light.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a really rad concept, you know.
Yeah, this you'd want to read, like just sit and read each sentence. And think about it. I've never thought of light and darkness functioning.
I found a free package.
A what?
A free package.
Wait, like you're gonna steal it?
No. I don't know. Y'all talking about light and darkness. I think you could take one of those. I think you could take one of those packages during the daytime too. You know.
Yes, a lot of people do.
Give us your Nestorian take on this, Andrew.
My Nestorian take.
Isn't
Is that what you said?
Yeah, isn't that
No, usually they call me Eutychian. Nestorian is what I call the EO.
Oh, the Eos are Nestorian.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Sorry, I'm trying to parse out all the
insults.
the heresies of Christendom.
Uh-huh. You know, it's a real art, like how to insult someone.
It gets real tricky, yeah. Like, kind of, it gets real tricky.
Who calls who what? You know.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Who are the Aryans? There's no more Aryans, right?
Nope, they're all done for. I mean, you can call JWs Aryans.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. It's a fun time, you know. You just pull out this random category from 1,000 years ago, and I don't know, it just structures someone's whole relationship on it.
So, Andrew, you're walking around nature, right?
I'm walking around my neighborhood.
Yeah, but that's also nature.
I guess so.
And you look up in the sky, and see the trees, and that's like pretty obvious that God exists, right?
I don't know, man.
Pretty obvious that there is a God. Existence is like a category. It's like that's too Heideggerian, right?
Dude, I don't know, man. Heideggerian? I've never read Heidegger.
No, you probably shouldn't. You probably never will.
You've never met Heidegger? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, let me look up at the sky and realize that God, you know, doesn't really exist, but you know, he kind of does. It's just that we can't put him in that category, you know. It's like a in between type of thing or something. I don't know. It's just so obvious how God is like in between existence and non-existence or something at the same time. Yep.
It's frustrating, huh?
I got all that from the trees, man.
Mm-hmm. Can you walk around your neighborhood at night? Is it safe?
At night? Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to the next. Let's do the next Rashi here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the first day, literally one day. You hear that, everyone? One day. 24 hours. According to the regular mode of expression used in this chapter, it should be written here, first day, just as it is written with regard to the other days, quote the second, quote the third, quote the fourth. Why then does it write one? Because the Holy One, blessed be He, was then the only one, sole being in His universe, since the angels were not created until the second day. Thus it is explained in Genesis Rabbah. I don't know what that is. This is definitely the blind leading the blind here, isn't it? I'm just.
If you say so, man.
Hey, we're doing our best here, okay?
Yeah, we're working with it.
But let's pause here and talk about it for a second. So God was the only one, the sole being. The word being is there. So more than just no thing.
Is Rashi's wrong?
No, maybe Rashi's no. Rashi is not wrong. Can't say the Rashi's wrong. No. God is a being, I guess. That's part of godness is being. But being's kind of a mysterious thing, I think.
I think we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I'm trying to tie this back into like the quasi mendacity thread.
Yep.
Does Harry ever come onto these streams? I don't think so. Hey?
No, I don't think so. He sticks to the Discord.
Sticks to the Discord. Yeah, that's weak.
No.
That's weak.
Whoa. Okay, that was close. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Thunder?
Yeah, lightning.
Yep.
Oh, that was at your place, Andy? I thought that was like a truck going by Andrew.
No, that was so close. I saw the flash and the thunder at the same time.
Man.
Wow.
So slightly southeast of me. I'll turn my sound off. Unless
You know,
no, it's fine. It's fine.
There's a really good way of checking if there's like lightning here. You just like you take a metal like dowel rod, right? And then you just go up to the roof and like, wave it around and based on the vibrations, right? Because it's collecting the electrons in the air. Based on the vibrations, you can tell how close the lightning is here,
You can't. How would you be able to read the vibrations with your?
Because you're holding it at the bottom, right? And it's collecting all the electrons on the top and the side.
That sounds dangerous, Andrew.
It is dangerous.
No, it wouldn't be, man.
No, totally. It's super safe.
Yep. Yeah, I think my great uncle tried it once, and I tell you, man, he had a shocking experience.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The weird thing is I don't hear any rain.
Spooky.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while you get that dry lightning. Right?
Come on, bro.
I think we might be starting some rain now. Maybe. Anywho.
Happens quick. What do you think, Andrew? Should we keep going with Rashi?
I mean, what else are we gonna do?
I mean, I can think of other things.
Yeah.
I mean, we can get much more contentious. Like this is like borderline mysticism for me.
This is borderline mysticism?
I mean, I understand a little bit of what I'm reading, but I also don't understand a little bit of what I'm reading. So, I don't know.
Yeah, be there and expanse. Very.
Be there and expanse. Let the expansion become fixed. For although the heavens were created on the first day, they were still in a fluid form. That's pretty technical. And they became solidified only on the second day at the dread command, literally rebuke of the Holy One, blessed be he, when he said, let the firmament be stable. Yikes. It is to this that allusion is made in what is written in Job 26:11. The pillars of heaven were trembling, i.e. they were unstable. This was during the whole of the first day. And on the second, they were astonished at his rebuke, like a man who stands immovable, amazed at the rebuke of one who terrifies him. I mean, wow. That's crazy. So
it makes sense, though. Like if you look at some of the things they're studying now through the, distance telescopes and stuff.
Yeah, totally. Look, I'm not even high right now, but when I think about the planets out there, like Neptune, Uranus, like that those are like out there right now in space are just existing. These planets way too far away for you and I to like observe, right? They just exist out there. Like, what is that about? It's kind of terrifying, to be honest. I mean, but maybe the trees above Andrew's head are also just as terrifying. We just are way too complacent.
Oh, that's just the part of trees you see. They talk by their roots underneath its feet.
Right, right. With all the fungi
Yeah.
and all the network of fungi that like have their own world.
They say if you get close enough to one of these trees, you can hear eucalyptus.
Yeah, you hear the screams of the trees, screaming trees. I think that's a Canadian band, Screaming Trees.
I'll have to look it up.
All right, you forced me to keep going. In the midst of the waters, in the exact center of the waters, because there is the same distance between the upper waters and the firmament as there is between the firmament and the waters that are upon the earth. Thus you may infer that they, the upper waters, are suspended in space by the command of the king. So I need to understand what this Genesis Rabbah thing is.
Me
Aria has had it. I had it up a while ago.
Yeah, you gotta go back to that one. I don't understood that one.
So I think that like that HTML and HTTP, right, like the foundation of the web, is like divine technology because it's so conducive for being able to like click, like you go and explore, you go through like into another area and explore it and then come back, right? Like I mean it's not linked to directly from here, but like I think that this technology makes it so much easier to reference, to go down these rabbit holes, which can be a little bit of a distraction, but also super interesting for like getting that context that you need.
So, do you know about Warhammer much?
Warhammer
40K? No?
No, tell me about this.
Okay. So, well, you mentioned divine technology, so I'm obligated to talk about Warhammer.
Okay.
So basically, there's this faction that's like the Adeptus Mechanicus or whatever.
Yeah.
Where like, they're like a bunch of religious cyborgs who have no idea how their technology works because it's like a bunch of AI that they've lost all the manuals for, and they've just inserted humans into it to make sure they don't like pull a Terminator, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. So when you start talking about divine technology, I'm like, okay, Warhammer 40K is coming to life. We love to see it. Yeah, it's my favorite faction in there.
Is Warhammer a video game?
No, it's like a tabletop game.
Okay.
Do you play that?
Do I play it? The figurines are really expensive, so I just play all the video games.
Oh, I know they're very expensive because my son has a massive collection of them. He's been getting and enjoying, creating, putting them together, painting them.
Yeah.
Him and his friend have set up an entire they've got two of those folding tables set up just to contain all of their scenery and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the life.
Well, that's for when they're not working. Most of life is working. You're done school now, so.
Hey, Bailey, don't eat that. Come on. Bailey.
All right. Gareth has asked, has Andrew played Bolt Gun yet?
Bolt Gun. No. The most I've played is Mechanicus, the game, and Fire Warrior. So I wish they came out with a new one that looks really good, Boomer Shooter, but can't get it.
Alas.
Bless.
I am going to have to bounce off the stream.
Yep.
Who can keep it going?
Don't
You
have
know,
it.
Is it over?
no, I mean, like, if you bounce, we can stay in here, but, like, we can't add new people.
Mm-mm.
But yeah.
Neither
Are
of
you-
us have, what do you call it?
Admin privileges?
Mm-mm.
Andrew, you don't have admin privileges? yet?
No. Please, for the love of God, do not give me admin permission.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I will actually just hop off my camera and stuff, and I'll stay on the stream. And then I can probably pay attention if someone jumps on. I can add them.
I mean, don't feel obligated or anything, you know?
Well, yeah. I guess there hasn't been like a.
It is 10:30 here, so I will be probably heading to bed soon. So I've been taking on my taking note of lectures to get my sleep patterns a little bit more engaged. Although it didn't help last night, I just woke up and started talking all kinds of stuff on the stream because of dreams I had. So, like, and I only woke up once in the night to jump into the tag end of the Bible study. I do that. I'll wake up and I'll go, somebody's on stream. I got to see what's going on.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll hop back on. Maybe other people will start a broadcast. But all right, I'm gonna leave. I'll kill the broadcast.
All right.
Everyone should go about their business.
Yep.
Later, y'all.
As you are.
Storm.
All right.
Thanks, Jonathan.
All right. Peace, y'all. Bye.
Oh, shoot, there's a rabbit.